This is a training program for use with the nonlinear diagnostic system QMRBioScan. QMRBioScan refers to an entirely new class of devices, which are called brain machines. What are they? At present, science and society in general is faced with information overload. Every day, there are large and small discoveries. Every year there are dozens of new machines and devices developed. This is certainly good. However, a person begins to drown in this sea of information, losing the big picture. A century ago, a doctor for correct diagnosis required the experience of thousands of years of medical observation. Today, this requires numerous and costly research and analysis. What helped the doctor to set the correct diagnosis? The answer is an inexplicable feeling called intuition. However, modern science has come very close to unraveling the phenomenon of intuition and an even more mysterious phenomenon of clairvoyance. The point here is that this is not a miracle or divine grace, but electromagnetic vibrations of very low frequency, which can transmit information in the human brain, bypassing the usual senses. Of the 10 million units of information, only one is recognized, the others are fixed in the subconscious. Information from the sphere of the subconscious is extracted either spontaneously or at the level of unusual, altered states of consciousness. Hypnosis, dreaming, meditation, or while receiving psychotropic drugs. The whole world, including the human race, is deeply interconnected through a variety of informational signals. That's why techniques to obtain information from the sphere of the subconscious are recognized, while modestly, as priorities in the development of science and society in the next century. Numerous studies in the field of energy informatics led to the creation of fundamentally new equipment capable of destroying the barrier between the conscious and the subconscious. This process, controlled research, is able to give an enormous amount of new information about the surrounding world. A special sphere of interest, medicine. These are new opportunities for diagnosis, different from conventional ultrasound and computer tomography. An indispensable instrument for mass prophylactic examinations of the population. Theoretical and experimental work, which made possible the development of QMRBioScan products, was initiated in the late century by electronics genius Nikola Tesla. This was then continued by George Lakhovsky, a scientist who studied the effects of radio waves on animal health and condition of plants. American researcher R. Rife, who investigated the effects on the human body, not only radio, but electrofrequencies. In 1950, R. Vol in Russia discovered and developed a system of electrically testing the acupuncture points of the human body. Vol's method was the first hardware method of research on the energy state of an organism. It is done by testing the rates of electromagnetic conductivity at the endpoints of acupuncture meridians in a person using a special probe. The results of the study, in the form of digital or graphic indicators, may give an idea of the presence of inflammatory, dystrophic, or atrophic pathology in the studied meridian and the corresponding organs. Another well-known method for diagnosing the state of energy in a person is Kirlian's aura diagnostics. It is used to determine the state of the electromagnetic field of a human in general. The status of individual organs is determined by the configuration of their biofield. The NLS diagnostic method allows the evaluation of the state of bioenergy of each organ individually. The results can be obtained in the form of visual images with the topography of the affected area, as well as the graphical features, which allow us to analyze damage to body tissue, allowing more accurately to determine not only the type of injury, inflammation or destruction, but also to clarify the diagnosis. Research is conducted by resonance amplification of radiation to the studied organ and then recovery of evidence via a non-contact method by using trigger sensors. The first version of a nonlinear analysis device had only a manual input of information, that is, a doctor was actively involved in the diagnosis of a patient through the use of low-frequency vibrations. that are close to the theta rhythm of the brain becomes more sensitive to radiation in the body of the patient. The results were recorded using the deviation of an L-shaped frame, held by the physician operator on Flangler's special scale. This scale is presented in the diagnostic module of the program. However, this method of research is too subjective and not safe for the health of the physician operator. This led to the development and creation of so-called trigger sensor, providing automatic input of information about the health of the patient in the computer. On what is the effect of trigger sensors? For the first time, a distant effective interaction with objects of animate and inanimate nature. That is, the transfer of data pulses from a man to machine was registered in the experiments of V.N. Kravkov in the 20 IES of our century, under the guidance of Professor V. Tagatova. Reactions of various semiconductor structures on the impact of biooperators, psychic, were studied. It has been experimentally proved that the human brain without the aid of wires can have an effect the sensitive sensor device. Software developers, in a dialogue mode between the telemetry complex and the physician operator with remote biofeedback, designed for the perception of the brain activity of the operator or patient, but depending on the objectives of the study and configuration of the complex, and convert this information into a sequence of pulses with a special trigger sensor. This is reflected in the fact that the human brain receives a signal about the need to verify, test, this or that organ. The signal is fed to the monitor screen, as well as the headphones, in a series of electromagnetic waves peculiar to the healthy human body. This is possible because every organ and every cell in the human body has its own spectrum of electromagnetic waves. Thus we would like to ask the question, what is going on with the target organ? In response to the question, the brain of the subject gives an answer that is perceived by the trigger sensors